This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From the New York Times, Russia-Ukraine War Summary. Lithuanian citizens have crowdfunded more than 5 million euros in a little over 3 days to buy Ukraine a Turkish unmanned aerial combat drone, an effort that both Lithuanian and Turkish governments have given the okay. And the British Defense Ministry has reported that Russia's forces have suffered localized mutinies and walk-offs by lower and mid-ranking troops, which is the sort of report that should be taken with a grain of salt, but could indicate at least pockets of dissatisfaction amongst their forces if true. Russia's foreign minister has denied rumors that Russian President Putin is ill, those rumors based on his not-so-great appearance and demeanor during some recent televised meetings and speeches. This denial, likewise, should be taken with a grain of salt, and as far as I'm aware, there isn't any real intelligence behind the rumor. Nothing that's been publicly divulged, at least. From Bloomberg, China's COVID outbreak wanes as curbs eased to boost economy. Beijing officials have announced that new cases of COVID-19 in the city are trending downward and that the country more broadly, including heavily locked down Shanghai, are seeing the lowest numbers in 3 months, which will allow leaders to slacken some of the more stringent restrictions that have been in place for much of that time. The world has felt the consequences of China's COVID-0 lockdowns because of all the associated shutdowns of local shipping and manufacturing infrastructure. And stories from those who suffered these lockdowns firsthand have been fairly astonishing at times. But the worst may be behind the region, at least for this infection wave, and that seems likely to trigger a collective sigh of relief for global markets and a staggered return to normal life for Shanghai residents who have been severely restricted in their movements and behaviors for months, and Beijing residents who worried they might soon face the same. And from the Associated Press, G7 pledges put coal on notice could boost climate aid. The group of 7 wealthy nations, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the US, have announced that they will aim to almost entirely cease emitting greenhouse gases from their power sectors by 2035. There's a lot of wiggle room in the language used in this announcement, but it's being seen as a generally positive thing because it suggests these wealthy nations will, at minimum, reduce their reliance on coal in the near future, and quite possibly invest more heavily in grid-based infrastructure, which is foundational to electrifying everything else. So even if some of these nations only half-heartedly move in this direction, which seems likely, their efforts could still have outsized positive environmental repercussions. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.